Hello everyone, and I'm back. Hope everyone's been doing well. I'm just gonna touch base on a severe weather threat across the Ohio Valley today. It's nothing too significant. Some damaging wind gusts are possible, but nothing of real concern across the Ohio Valley. But right now, here's our current satellite. Um, you can see quite a bit of cloud cover. Our risk area really centers across central Ohio down through central Kentucky, parts of far western West Virginia. I'll show that in a minute. But we do have some developing thunderstorm tops here, sort of south of Cincinnati. Some more associated with the shortwave across Illinois. Um, the leading sort of precipitation edge here, but we do have some peaks of sunshine, which should allow for a modest amount of instability to sort of build up across central, eastern Ohio, Kentucky, and western West Virginia. Um, yeah, this current satellite, like I said, you can see this breaks in the clouds. Of course, the more sun, the more instability we can get across this region. Here's the radar, and we can see that sort of convection south of Cincinnati, or into Cincinnati as well. The thunderstorm tops, and we can see the leading edge, shortwave, sort of central Illinois now. We can see it moving to the northeast here, leading edge of the precipitation. This is what's going to sort of be our severe threat, our main severe threat, this sort of energy out here. As this moves northeast, the shortwave, it'll bring this energy with it. Low level, mid level winds mixing in with the instability. Um, it's also, the shortwave also is like a lifting mechanism for additional and strengthening showers and thunderstorms. So um, that's sort of the just main general idea of what's going on today. Um, some much needed rain for this area too. There is quite a bit of a drought, especially in northern West Virginia, I believe. But most of the Ohio Valley is in much need of some rain. So this is a welcome sight here. But we can see some of that isolated convection. We also can sort of see an outflow boundary very briefly sort of work its way across. And I think we can sort of see that on the satellite here, right here as it moves across Huntington and Charleston um, from the storms in eastern Kentucky. So outflow boundaries may also be a sort of lifting mechanism for additional development throughout the day. Here's a sort of surface map here just to get a broad overview. We have our shortwave across sort of Illinois. That's going to be moving to our northeast. And right now, temperatures are mainly in the mid 70s across the Ohio Valley, some low 70s as well, but mainly associated with that sort of rain moving through. If these temperatures can get into the lower 80s, mid 80s with this nice moisture content near the surface, where we have dew points in the mid 60s, yeah, that's going to be just enough to sort of, at least I know with the daytime heating, it's going to be enough for that. But the shortwave will definitely be the main sort of lifting and development mechanism. So, sort of just the brief overview here. And then here is the outlook here. And like I said, sort of central Ohio through central Kentucky is the main threat. Far western West Virginia, but barely really any Huntington, maybe Point Pleasant in that. But Cincinnati, Columbus, Lexington, Maysville, um, all in the, under gun here for the slight risk, multiple slight risk, in fact, across the area. Pretty busy week ahead. And this is mainly just going to be for damaging winds, as I mentioned, with that 15% risk, embodying the slight risk, and there's really no hail threat or tornado threat um, with this system. So this is the HRRR here, and I want to just sort of point out the shortwave, and we can see this sort of nice kink in our line here, isotherm line, and this is going to be where that shortwave is, and it's going to be moving to our northeast, like I said, but sort of associated with the shortwave, we do have some nice 30 to 40 knot, 500 millibar winds, mid-level winds, and that sort of as we move on through afternoon, this is around um, sort of 3 or 4 o'clock here, and we can see the bulk of those winds across the northern Kentucky and central Ohio. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of show this here, where you can see that short wave, with the little kinks in the isotherm lines. May have said, I think I said iso um, height lines, but or isotherm lines, but it's iso height lines. But we can see that kink there, and that is going to be sort of where that short wave is. And by this afternoon, it moves sort of right over to Cincinnati. This is according to the HRRR. But yeah, just to give that better sort of overview with the uh, ISO highlights. So let's sort of move on here. This is a href mean ensemble. This is going to give us a better sort of overview of the winds we'll be working with in our atmosphere. And I'm going to show our 500 millibar mid-level and our low-level 850 millibar winds. So this is around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And you can see this sort of highlighted area here, the dark gray, and that's going to be our 30 to 40 knot winds here. Definitely just sufficient enough for um, severe weather here. And this is by about 4 o'clock and continues to be around 35 knots in general across central Ohio and northern Kentucky here. As we move on, that sort of weakens and moves into the Appalachian Mountains. So we got our 850 millibar winds, a little bit more interesting here. And then 2 o'clock, um, and we can see most of our low-level winds are going to be situated sort of southern Indiana, western Kentucky, where 30 to 40 knots is possible. But as this moves on, in line with the convection timing, this is around 7 o'clock. Um, there's going to be a nice overlap of sort of mid-level, low-level winds and instability slash moisture. And yeah, that's going to create a nice focus area of potential severe weather, really across southern Ohio, central Kentucky here. I think where we do have peaks of around 30 knots, but mainly 25 knot winds, 30 knot winds in our low levels. Yeah, it's going to be a nice mix of low and mid level winds, and that's going to sort of implement our damaging wind threat mixed in with the instability and the lifting of the shortwave. So that's going to create the damaging wind threat we have today. And mostly we can see the winds or near the surface are coming um, southwesterly up to the northeast here. So we can compare these winds also to our 500 millibar, and it's pretty parallel, um, which also sort of indicates a straight line damaging wind threat or the clustering of multi-cells with the potential of the damaging winds. So something to look for. I do think your best area for any sort of severe weather is going to be, just based off this, is going to be sort of south central Ohio through north central Kentucky, sort of in this general area, which may eventually move into western West Virginia, but it probably will weaken substantially by then. But really, south central Ohio, north central Kentucky. So here is our this is our CAPE here, surface-based CAPE. Um, right now, most of the areas, even with this convection going on, is around 1,000 joules per kilogram. We can see some better instability building across central Kentucky, 1,500 joules per kilogram CAPE. This will be sort of advecting northward as this convection clears across northern Kentucky, southern Ohio here. And we can really see the shortwave, kind of nice one here, sort of centered over that central Illinois, south central Illinois region. And you can see the leading edge of the precipitations or of the shortwave with the precipitation here. So this will sort of move slowly to the northeast. This is by roughly 4 p.m., 3, 4 p.m. here, and we can see that 2,000 joules per kilogram cape sort of advecting through southern Ohio, western West Virginia, even 25 joules across the coal fields there, coal fields. So, I mean, we also see that convection across central Kentucky. That's going to be sort of the main threat. And then if we move on, that 25 joules per kilogram possible across the coal fields up and through western West Virginia. We also do have substantial CAPE across south central Ohio, 1,500 joules per kilogram. But yeah, we definitely have enough instability, especially across sort of eastern Kentucky, southern Ohio, western West Virginia. Another thing we need to look at here is our mixed layer CAPE. This is important for our damaging wind threat for today. And a few hours from now, around probably 2 o'clock, um, 1 to 2 o'clock here, we do have 1,000 joules per kilogram of mixed layer CAPE up through south central Ohio, much of Kentucky, not really much of western West Virginia, but as we move on throughout the afternoon, that sort of advects to our north and to our east, further into West Virginia, eastern Ohio. And then we do have a little um, nice swath of 1,500 joules per kilogram across central Kentucky. And as that convective line sort of moves to our northeast, it's going to have a good amount of mixed layer and a good amount of surface-based CAPE to work with. That mixed with the upper level or the mid-level, low-level winds, excuse me. Definitely, we do have a nice threat for a few strong storms, a few severe storms with probably 60-mile-per-hour wind gust likely. So, um, definitely do think, like I said, I definitely do think southern, south central Ohio, north central Kentucky has that better threat for potential severe weather. And then that's really kind of it for as much as I kind of want to talk about this. I guess we can sort of um, look at our dew points here, and we do have our mid 60 dew points in those same areas with that um, convection and the mixed layer surface-based CAPE enhancement. So we definitely do have enough moisture, surface-based moisture to work with as well. Um, Hints at the sufficient surface-based CAPE. One thing I do want to actually look at is our downdraft CAPE. Just real quick. Yeah, nothing that catches my eye. Nothing that catches my eye. Look at the precipitable water here. Yeah, we do have some, decently high precipitable water values. 1.6 or higher, 1.7 or higher is usually something to look at. We can't go forward in the forecast, but we can just assume that this will sort of move in or move with the shortwave and bring values of 1.5 to 1.7 precipitable water. And we could probably look at that through the HRRR here. And I may as well show you the reflectivity, the 15Z here. And this is around 3 o'clock, and we can see the main sort of area of interest here is central Kentucky. Let's just take a sounding out ahead of it, and we can see precipitable water around 1.6, according to HRRR. Decent 3 CAPE as well, just again, sort of reinforcing that surface-based moisture that we have and instability that we have. It's nothing too crazy, but it is high enough to sort of mention. So we move on across the afternoon here. We can see that sort of sort of clustering and different. You can even see maybe some different sort of kinks in this line, which would also indicate at a higher chance of damaging winds within the line. Take a sounding sort of near Ashland, Kentucky here, and precipitable water not too great. Let's go another hour ahead. That's that. Yeah, precipitable water is still around 1.6, nothing too high, but high enough to sort of cause some downpours. And as that main line moves through around 7 o'clock, it goes into western West Virginia and keeps moving through central Ohio. Some more convective activity is possible after, just based off the lifting of the shortwave and leftover moisture. There's going to be enough lift to sort of suck any sort of moisture available out and cause even more convection to sort of move through the night. And quite a bit of rain may fall as well. I don't think flash flooding is much of a risk, but some localized threats are definitely possible. And yeah, some moderate to heavy rain throughout the night across the Ohio Valley. And real quickly, I want to just touch on the tropical side of things here. We have Gabrielle here, sort of moving east of Bermuda. It's going to really cause no threat. However, disturbance one here, a 70% chance to form in the next week. That very well may cause some issues for Bermuda. Too early to really tell. But just this will most likely not, very likely not pose a threat to U.S. land. However, disturbance two is looking more and more interesting. GFS has been fairly consistent with it getting pretty close to the shores of South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey. Um, Landfall, too early. It's too early to tell. What I will say is that East Coast needs to sort of watch it for disturbance too. It only has a 40% chance to form in the next 7 days, and I'll sort of um, show you a few ensembles here, just show that low chance. But I think regardless, it could bring some much needed sort of moisture through the East Coast, and bring maybe some rainy weather late to the week. So something just to watch. No real threat right now, and most likely won't be a threat, but it is something to watch, especially disturbance two here. And we can look at our ensembles here. Probability of a tropical depression, 25 knot winds here. We can see Gabrielle here with that big red dot. Sort of just ignore that. Um, do want to stop it probably right here. Here's disturbance one. We can see our probability is up to 60-70%, which correlates to the National Hurricane Center. And then disturbance two here, we have, only 30 to 40%. Just sort of north of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and Haiti. So into the Bahamas as well. So that is something to watch. But as we see here on the ensembles, it sort of starts curving up to our north here and just sort of dissipates. Could have some influence on disturbance one, sort of disrupting the development. I'm not quite sure, but we can see the two sort of disturbance one, disturbance two here. Um, One here and then two right here. Um, but yeah, ensembles sort of favor that non-US threat here. We can look at the GFS ensembles. It um, doesn't even really show that. This is tropical depression. It's quite interesting. The operational model really sort of likes the idea, and we can show that right now. Um, Let me do this. So we have Gabrielle here, and it has that sort of disturbance too, north of the Bahamas, and sort of just tries to hug the coast. It's not really strong at all, but does bring some nice the nice potential of much needed rain across the North Carolina and South Carolina coast. Um, but yeah, it's nothing to really worry about. Just keep your eye on the National Hurricane Center forecasts here, um, and you'll be fine. Just continue to be uh, wary of that and prepared if the track of disturbance 2 does sort of favor the East Coast. But yeah, that's about all I wanted to sort of go over today. Short video, sort of, but mainly just this shortwave moving across the Ohio Valley, going to bring the chance for severe weather, and we can already see some of this convection starting to develop down here and strengthen. This will be moving across central Kentucky and up through central Ohio in the next sort of 6 to 10 hours. So just stay aware of that. The sun can come out. That will definitely help the case of severe weather. So until then, I will catch you guys later and stay safe, everyone.